Thank you for joining us at UInc. My name is Lea Gray, and I'm here with you today, as I am every week, to help build the most important brand in your life, which is you. And when we talk about building, we use tools, and the same goes for building our brand. These wellness tools will help elevate your emotional intelligence and help to lead you in a more positive, successful direction in life and in business. Some of these tools will add another dimension to your life today, and others you will save for a rainy one. This week's tool is Hobby, and why having one or two or three will lead to success in life and in business once I've demonstrated to you that this is a great tool for your brand. In an article that came out today that I read during my research for today's UInc, a woman who had just turned 100 shared her secret to long life. Violet said that the key to living more than 100 years is to stay active with hobbies. Her hobbies throughout the years have included cribbage, volleyball, camping, sewing, and pretty much whatever she set her mind on. And yet, we are seeing less and less folks engaging in hobbies. Perhaps they believe that having a hobby is to apologize for either not being good enough or not trying hard enough, that hobbies don't make life transformative or exciting, that we are not here on the planet to bide our time with hobbies until we drop dead, that our lives are not some kind of pet project. The reality, however, of the value of hobbies is extraordinary. The book, The Heart to Start, Stop Procrastinating and Start Creating by David Kadavy tells us that the time you spend with a hobby amounts to something priceless. Pride and a deep personal joy that comes with patience, hard work, and doesn't depend on anyone else. And it is important to know that this is the reward, as so many don't know where to start or want to start, and instead self-defeat. How to get over these obstacles. Eliminate fear in your present self so you can become your future self by tapping into curiosity, preventing time sucks, manage time to follow your art, burst through linear work distortion, and supercharge your progress with motivational judo. Hobbies also serve us in business. It may seem counterintuitive that if you want to get ahead at work, you should make time for a life outside of it. But career coaches and business leaders alike say that having a hobby is key to being able to handle work-life stress and thinking creatively. Even Facebook co-founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg says that having a hobby shows a prospective employer that you have passion and drive. In fact, it's a question recruiters for any company will ask job candidates. And scientifically speaking, having a hobby will help your career. According to the Journal of Occupational and Organizational Psychology, having a hobby is associated with positive work-related traits like creativity on projects and better attitude on the job. And if you would like, you can find the scholarly books and the peer-reviewed articles mentioned in our program right here at NPR member station 90.5 FM at WCBE.org, or visit us at tworogues.com. That's the number 2 and the word rogues for podcasts, behind-the-scenes videos, and connect with us on our socials, or just drop us a line about emotional intelligence with your host here in UInc, Lea Gray. It is simple, really, how to get started a new hobby. Do it the Kaizen way. Kaizen means change for better in Japanese dictionaries and in everyday use, according to Dr. Robert Maurer, the author of One Small Step Can Change Your Life, a simple yet potent guide to easing into new hobbies. This is done by taking small steps to circumvent our brain's built-in resistance to new behaviors, and why small rewards lead to big returns. And this simple regimen is about continuous improvement. So, cultivate a new hobby and try something. The world is full of wonderful, exciting activities that we can explore and adopt as our own. Of course, all of us are unique, and therefore our interests and hobbies vary. But once we find a hobby that we truly enjoy and are passionate about, we become hooked. It becomes part of our lives and captivates us in a very personal way. Few people have the imagination for reality. And that is a quote from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, who himself was an avid hobbyist. In addition to being a poet, novelist, playwright, natural philosopher, diplomat, civil servant, he was also keenly involved in the studies of natural science. He wrote several works on morphology and color theory, and Goethe also had the largest private collection of minerals in all of Europe. By the time of his death, in order to gain a comprehensive view in geology, he had collected 17,800 rock samples. Our guest today has taken the hobby of folding paper into a profitable company, creating art that is the centerpiece of weddings and other special moments and becoming an authority on her craft. Lea Gray is owner and creator of PaperBloom Designs, where she customizes beautiful paper flower displays that last from succulent terrariums to bonsai trees and other unique commissions as requested. Ms. Gray studied fine arts with a focus on landscape painting at the Columbus College of Art and Design until she discovered origami that led her into creating art with paper. As part of her hobby turned passion, she also teaches how to create her designs in workshops that she conducts. And most recently, Ms. Gray became the 2019 featured art exhibit at Kingwood Center Gardens, creating an exhibit of paper floral gardens. When Ms. Gray isn't creating designs, teaching workshops to help others develop this as their hobby, you can find her hanging out with friends out in nature and on the occasional catwalk or in front of a camera for a photo shoot. Welcome, Ms. Gray.
Hi.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad you're here.
So excited.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about this before we officially started rolling, about that article in the Mansfield News about your exhibit at the Kingswood Center Gardens. And
Yes.
you mentioned that one thing that was, before we get to the thing we were talking about, you mentioned that you use your walk-in closet as a spray booth and you bake papers in your home oven. I don't think I've heard of anyone using their homes like that.
And it really, it takes a little bit of putting some paper down and some protective areas.
I was going to say.
So that it doesn't look like a giant studio.
Right.
But it's really convenient for me to work from home because when I get the creative spark, I don't want to have to wait for traffic to subside. I don't want to even drive. I just want to walk into my studio. And so I have a window inside of my walk-in closet, and that's what sold me.
Okay, good.
So there's a window in there. We have like a whole system built so that it ushers all of the particles out. My apartment complex knows about it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, they know. I actually teach classes at my apartment complex as well.
Nice.
So it's just sort of a nice relationship I've developed. Otherwise, I would not have
Right,
done it.
right.
But yes, it does make it convenient because why would I go anywhere else to create when it's the comfort of my own home?
Right, exactly. So. And also like you said, just when you have that inspiration, it might die if like someone cuts you off or like who knows, you're running out of gas, you gotta stop at the gas station. There goes creativity. Like you said, you get that spark, you gotta go. I'm glad that there's a window because I saw some of those rainbow flowers. I was like, oh, that must be the fumes. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's the byproduct of running a business with art. You're going to have some things that are probably not the best for the environment.
Sure.
But for myself, I do wear a mask.
Yes, good.
I close the door. I have a sealed door. So I do everything proper. But yeah, it's just nice because, like I said, I don't want to have to drive anywhere. I have to do anything. I wake up every day and I decide when it's time for me, because otherwise it becomes work then too.
Yeah.
I'm driving to work, or like you said, a person cuts you off and then that's the end of it. It's like it's over.
Totally.
So,
or you get a ticket.
Right.
Okay, so you also mentioned in that article how a friend had asked you to create a bouquet of flowers for Mother's Day, which was your first commission piece. And I want to tell you, my mom still has them.
I absolutely love.
They still look amazing.
That's
they
awesome.
they have hardly faded at all. Yeah,
that's great feedback.
Yeah,
I mean, knowing that my business has been running 6 years now.
Yep.
It's still in its infancy, but it's nice to know that even something I first created is still something that's going to last forever, which is what my business is all about.
Yeah, it looks really, really good. It looks still really good. I was telling my mom that you're going to come onto the show, and I was like, Mom, you better hold on to. She's a rising star. Better put them in a box somewhere.
Oh.
It's really neat. So my question is, how important is it to have feedback and suggestions for someone to cultivate their hobby to the next level?
Well, there's constructive criticism and then there are opinions. So the difference between both of those is if somebody's really willing to try to help you and give you information that you can use to bring your product to be better, then that's useful. If it's just an opinion, I mean, we all have them.
Sure.
And sometimes you really kind of have to let those go because a lot of times people have a perspective based on their own lives and what they're doing with their lives. So with that said, I mean, with me and then the time that I've ran my business, I've had some feedback where I've used different types of resins that didn't work over time. I use resin for a faux water look with my floral displays now. And so there's been feedback about that, or feedback about shipping. I'm shipping paper flowers, so sometimes they become ruffled. So I include a little letter that says, please, you know, fluff them when you get them, and different things that kind of give an expectation of people. So that's the business side of things. And as far as my artwork goes, I've had tons of suggestions on what I could do or where I could go. And again, it's a matter of a different perspective of opinion or constructive criticism, which I take seriously.
Right. Or like sometimes, like, you know, like when I asked you to do that bouquet, and you're like, wait a minute, this feels right for me, right? So I think it's important for us to, when we have people in our lives who have a hobby, you know, too, because you were over at my house doing origami with my kids, right?
Yeah,
that's what's happening.
That was the hobby prior to that, and I got bored.
Yeah,
I actually got bored because I was not only creating other people's designs, and it was very repetitive for me, but then it got to a point where I wasn't really activated. I mean, a hobby has to activate you. It has to bring some type of burning flame inside of your soul.
Yes.
And otherwise it's just something you're doing that's sort of a chore. And so for me, I moved into this paper flower thing, and it was because of you, because you came to me after you discovered I had made a paper flower for somebody or something, and it's like, well, can you make a whole bouquet? And you know, that bouquet took me like maybe 45 hours. I mean, it took me a really long time. But throughout the whole process, my heart is racing. I mean, the blood is pumping. I'm getting chills up and down because I'm going, this is so much fun, and it's going to be challenging because there's not a flower or plant that I can't create from. There's always going to be something new coming in. And all the designs that I made for you, I have redone 4 or 5 times. So even the designs I've already created, I already found new paper and new ways of creating that still brings a challenge to me. So that there's never a dull moment.
Very awesome. And then for those who are listening, like, you can hear that fire that you're talking about. That's why it's important. Like you said, it has to really motivate you, kind of thing. There was this article that I read back in 2012 where you were highlighted as a Columbus Makes Art featured artist. And you were described as a digital arts, fiber, graphics, painting, paper arts design artist. And in the feature, you say about your work, I pass the knowledge of origami so people can experience the same joy without the hardships of figuring out the process. All of the design elements are a result of a simple joy I have in adding embellishments to apparel, company identities, and home decor. So I wonder, who passed origami down to you as a hobby? Or is that something that you discovered on your own, you know, so you're trying to help people like find their ways with them? And then when did it like kind of transition into this career as an artist, even before the floral designs?
I had a friend who was making what's called modular origami. It's a very complex origami, but it's really just about patience. So it's a lot of pieces folded, and then you fold those pieces together. So if you look up modular origami, the Kusadama, which I had started to do origami lamps on, that's just a number of probably about, I don't know, 100 pieces, and you just fold them all the same way, and then somehow they fit together in a geometric sort of sphere. So it just, when she put it in my hands, I just remember the moment. I was like, oh my gosh, I really wish I could do this. So she taught me how to do it. And because I had learned in such a complex manner, everything was downhill from there, because that's really one of the hardest origami. It really kind of put me in a way of like bending my mind, and also origami lights up both parts of your brain at once.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so a lot of people use it in nursing homes and things, so to keep them from the degradation. You know,
dementia and things.
Yes, dementia. So it's really just something that, because it lights up both parts, it's able to kind of move you and I guess impress you too, because once you come out with the origami piece in the end, it's sort of like magic. You look at it and you're going, I just made that out of one piece of paper. So it's a fantastic thing. But like I said, I got bored very quickly, because I wanted something more organic and creative, and something that I could really put my skills as an artist to. And so that's why making paper flowers, it kind of hits all the notes.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Speaking of like, people showing, and we said that you showed the kids. Anthony still loves to do origami. He does the cranes all the time now and then.
That makes me feel so good. I love that.
The person who passed it down to you, pass it down to another person. So also those of you out there who have hobbies, share it with somebody. Yeah. Invite kids, invite friends, just do it. I mean, people, you never know where it's going to start and how it's going to end up. Okay, so one of the other things we also talked about, like, we talk about how it gives you fire, but also I had read somewhere where you had described that you find it therapeutic as well. Does that stop being therapeutic when your hobby has become your profession?
I think there are moments where, when running a business, we all have meltdowns.
Sure.
Okay? That doesn't, I mean, across the board, doesn't matter who is running the business or what product they're selling. There's going to be moments of contention and feelings of like, oh my God, your expectation didn't go through, or you're in between those big waves of finances that comes in.
Yeah.
So you really have to hold your ground and say to yourself, why am I doing this? Mm-hmm. If you have a real true reason and a real passion connected to that, I don't really think anything's going to knock you down. But as far as the stress concerning, the only thing that I deal with that I think is the most concerning to me is overlapping of projects, because I run a website online. People can just order at any time. Mm-hmm. And while I was doing the show, I had been bombarded with sales. I had people calling me for just my regular business running in the background, and so there were a few times I really just had to say no. I'm really only one person running my business and doing things, so finding the time and actually having respect for myself to say no. Right. I probably lost a couple $100 here and there, but really it was to maintain my sanity. Yes. And that's important. Yes. So, overlapping projects, sometimes it does take the
joy out of it.
Yeah, but you're going to have those moments, but then you wake up the next day and you're like, actually, I'm okay. Yeah. I do love doing this, and I've made, oh my gosh, I'm not even exaggerating, it has to be over 5,000 succulents by now, because I have a company I work with where they put my succulents in their beauty products, and they sell their products with my succulents in them. So they order thousands, every year from me. So you would think by like the 5,000th succulent, I would be over it. Yeah. I'm just not.
Oh, that's amazing.
I absolutely love making paper flowers and succulents, and I love teaching it to people too. I like sharing that passion with people and seeing their faces light up just like it does for me. So.
Do you think you'll ever be able to like teach someone to the point where maybe they can be your like assistant or apprentice?
Oh, I'm always scouting.
Okay.
I mean, and I kind of make jokes about it, but it's a real thing, because at some point I really am going to get to a part where I really am not going to be able to handle it all. Uh-huh. It's nice that the way the universe works right now for me, that I'm able to kind of handle whatever comes in when it comes in, and kind of, distribute everything out. But eventually my goal is to become international and really kind of get out there with exposure and be much bigger than I am right now.
So do you plan on taking on an apprentice at some point in time?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Okay, so if anyone wants to, we'll go over your website in a little bit, but if someone right now is listening and they want to be your apprentice, what emails should they shoot you?
Oh, Leah at PaperBloomsDesign.com.
Okay.
So that's PaperBlooms plural and then the word design.com.
Okay. All right, great. I mean, I'm surprised like in your workshops someone hasn't appeared yet, but I guess when the teacher's ready, the student shows up, or what is that, the master's student? What is that saying?
Yeah, I mean, no, I know what you're trying to say, and a lot of people have. I've had a lot of kids say, I will be your assistant, and I'm like, well, if you can work for cookies, then yes. Yeah. So I have a lot of jokes, because every single class, at least one person says, if you ever need an assistant, I'm like, great, I'll keep you in mind. Yeah. When that time comes, I will definitely. Okay. Yeah.
But you still haven't found that person just yet.
Well, I think it's more about I'm just not ready.
Okay.
I'm still able to handle everything, and I know that it takes a lot to actually move into the point of having an apprentice. Yeah. You have to have this sort of mindset too in management. Yeah. And you have to be able to delegate properly. I'm not gonna, I give away a lot of my secrets, because really, I mean, why do I need to keep them to myself? There are a lot of paper flower makers out there, and I'm not the only one.
You're only one person, you can't do them all anyway.
No, right. But I think there are just some things that I want to be able to manage as far as the the final creative aspect of
Mhm.
my work.
Mhm.
And so I have to figure out what I can teach them. Maybe I can just have them run the machines or something,
Okay.
or go get me a coffee. Or
Okay. Why not? Why
I don't
not?
know. But at some point I'll have to figure out what would be good to delegate and whatnot.
Okay, I'm gonna be interested to see that develop over
Yeah.
time. I'll be watching.
Thank you.
Okay, so in the Industrial Designer Society of America webpage, it's mentioned that you graduated from CCAD and you practice your craft there. Did they already have origami courses? Like I don't remember them. I don't. Right? So
No,
do they have them now?
I don't think so.
You could also teach there.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to teach anywhere that somebody would be interested.
Yeah.
It's funny how people still don't really know that much about paper flowers
Yeah.
or that they exist.
Right.
I mean, it's really still coming into,
Yeah.
coming into play. But it's kind of like an underground thing too. It's interesting because if you tap into that market, there are paper flower makers across the country, and they're very successful as well. And they're
Okay.
doing things for commercials and doing different things with it. But it still feels a little underground to me,
Sure.
especially here locally.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, I really feel like there are paper flower makers, and there are different kind of ways to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, I mean, not going to be underground much longer because these flowers that you have here are going to be, you said the Columbus Museum of Art. Tell us about
Yes.
those.
Yeah, so the Columbus Museum of Art actually contacted me, asked me to make them for their Mother's Day event.
Mm-hmm.
They're also going to be available in the gift store.
Wow.
So for the Mother's Day event, they're giving them away to all 200 of the mothers that are attending that event, which is great for me. It's wonderful exposure.
Yes.
I'm very honored.
So you get coming above ground. The museum.
Yeah. And then also, like I said, we're gonna replenish them as well in the gift shop. So however many over time, but they're just so fun. It's a little vase with a little bit of resin at the bottom.
Oh, what? I thought that was actually water. Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
I love using resin because that furthers the illusion of my work.
I love it. It's
and
amazing.
then if you notice, this is another little trick. I use twigs from nature. I do not hand make my stems anymore. That was a nightmare.
Okay. Well, I think it's even better. Okay. You learned.
Well, I use nature, and I always say
it's another hobby,
I'm
right?
cheating a little bit, but really, it's nice to incorporate nature.
I think
as
people
I'm
like
making
that.
it. Yeah, it makes it more real.
Brings another dimension to it.
Yeah,
I think so.
It's unique.
Okay, so you mentioned in your bio that you're a full-time professional artist who works with paper to craft realistic-looking, natural, and decorative items, recreating wedding bouquets, wedding flower walls, wedding bouquets, floral arrangements, decorative displays, succulents, and air plants and terrariums. Which
a little terrarium.
Oh my gosh, look at that! So cute. I feel like I'm on QTV or something. Oh my gosh, this is good. And you sprayed these colors here.
Yes, I do.
That's amazing.
So I use a particular spray. It's like a transparent spray that they actually use for flowers, real flowers. But the market is opening up for paper flower makers to make it. And I sprayed these too. So it makes the art a little bit more dimensional, a little bit more real. And then I also use at the bottom, this is cool, it's rock granules mixed with resin. So it makes it look like soil.
It's amazing. I'm so excited. I know exactly where it's going in my kitchen, like hanging for the winter.
Oh yeah, you can. It won't fade.
Love it. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
All right. So I also want to talk about something else. So what are some hobbies that you have that actually help with your creation? So we talked about, like, was spray painting a hobby of yours? Like, you were doing graffiti before. Like, are you enjoying being in nature? What are some collateral hobbies that, now that this hobby has become your career, other hobbies that you use to de-stress that kind of continue to help you in this career now?
Definitely origami was the basis, as we spoke about,
right.
Because it's sort of a mixture of origami and kirigami, if you think about it. Kirigami would be the snowflakes you make out of paper, right?
Okay.
It just simply means cut paper. Origami means fold paper. So it's really a combination of those two. I know that spray painting really wasn't something that I had to actually work on that cohesively with my work.
Gotcha.
So really, I kind of was self-taught for a while on what paints were going to, I had to experiment a lot. I use a lot of glass paints.
Mm-hmm.
So the glass spray paint actually makes things appear to look like glass.
Okay.
So I'm using that as a product to make my succulents look real.
Okay.
I've done extensive research on whatever kind of products I can use in addition to that. But yeah, those
And you enjoy being out in nature, so that's another hobby of yours.
Oh my god, it's never ending for me. And it's funny because I'll be watching a movie and everybody else is probably paying attention to, you know, the dialogue or whatever's going on, but I'm looking in the background going, ooh, look at that plant. I'm just like always scoping out plants in people's homes. I'm pretty obsessed.
Yeah.
It never ends.
Okay.
It just really, and flowers when I go to the store, and I get very arrested. I want to say arrested because sometimes I'm really caught in the moment. I'm like, gosh, I really want to create that. How would I create that powdered look on the succulent? Or how would I do this? And it really kind of makes it like something that's kind of burning inside of me to where I can't wait to go home and like, okay, let's use talcum powder. Let's do this. Let's use dry shampoo for your hair. Let's just try whatever we can.
See what works.
And that's what makes it so fun and challenging.
Interesting. Okay, so I want to talk to you about your marketing skills. So even way back in 2010, when you were using plant paint to make abstract designs, you had the wherewithal to create an ad campaign using models with your paintings in the background. And like Instagram had just come out, so this wasn't something that, you know, you had seen already, like how we see product placement with influencers and things like that. And most recently with your PaperBloom design company, you also did something like that where you did this photo shoot where you're holding, you were doing the bride and things like that. So how can you link this to a hobby, I wonder?
As far as marketing goes, it's really, it kind of runs with trends too. Like when you mentioned about the models and things from 2010, I mean, that was such a big deal when we did it.
Yeah.
It was a huge, like for me and the other artists, Chris Lappy, she is the fashion designer and loved her designs, and somehow we just kind of diverged the two things together, or converged, and it just became something really fun and interesting, and it was a live photo shoot too. So I think sometimes when you're coming up with new ideas and you're tapping into the trends at the same time, you're coming up with something unique and marketable. And as far as Instagram goes now, I mean, that kind of stuff plays really well.
Yeah.
Especially live video and different things. So yeah, marketing is a big deal, and coming up with ideas on what sticks and what's interesting and what people will actually want to view and be interested in looking at. Yeah, you really have to do your research on that and try to find.
Yeah, but you getting in touch with someone who was a fashion designer, this probably happened because you have the hobby of, and also because you walked on the runway for as fashion mob. So that's another way that hobbies, I think, can kind of propel us. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So making another great case for that. Where can someone go if they wanted to order these flowers or order some of the terrariums like the one that I got? Or any blooms that for upcoming weddings or special occasions, or even like some of the other Mother's Day stuff like the one you did for me?
Definitely my website.
Okay.
It's PaperBloomsDesign.com. So PaperBloomsDesign.com.
Cool. And then that where they can find out about your workshops too?
Absolutely. Everything is listed on there. I have a page for exhibitions as well.
Okay.
So anything going on, but my email is on there too. So if you have special requests, there's a special request all the way down at the bottom. Because I do recreate wedding bouquets. That's something I do as well.
Oh, like if someone has a photograph of theirs and it died, they give you the photograph and you can recreate and they have it for posterity.
Yes.
Oh, how cool!
Yeah, I've done a good handful of those. Those are very, very challenging. They usually take me about a month. So if your anniversary is coming up, get a hold of me a month ahead of time. Otherwise, it's not going to work out.
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. And then do you show a lot of your designs on Instagram too?
Yeah, I use Instagram a lot to post, like with the Mother's Day sale that I'm doing with my peonies. I use Instagram to kind of just, keep people going, keep me in their mind.
Sure, and is it at PaperBloom's Design?
It's PaperBloom's Design _
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
So you started your company 6 years ago. Where do you see this going in the next, 5 years, 6 years? Are you thinking about maybe large installations? Are you looking at doing something new? Or maybe we'll see you've been doing some bigger trees than just bonsais. What's on the horizon for Lea Gray?
Actually, everything you just said.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I always have had a dream actually to do a bonsai show. Penjing is a larger version of bonsais. So that's just going to be about the 3 or 4 feet tall. I really love doing bonsais. I think they're fantastic, interesting, unique part of what I actually do. As far as flowers and succulents go, that's great, but bonsais are such a unique part of my template. And so I definitely want to do that. I do want to do bigger shows. I want to show in places that aren't normally a setting for a show.
Okay.
Kingwood Center Gardens is a good example of that because they don't really have the space, you know, to show as a show, but because their outdoor gardens series is kind of closed down. So yeah, so basically because their gardens were closed down, they invited me to be as an indoor garden. So I like that idea because it makes it unique and fun, and it's not just this sterile white atmosphere of come in, look at the art, and you know, sometimes there's pretension involved, you know, and it's fine. But with my work, I just want it to be open to the public, and I want everybody to enjoy it. And I want to, again, build on the illusion. Is it real or is it not?
Right.
I really enjoy that, yeah.
Okay, so I want to, before we go, I want to share with you a hobby that I have, and I'm hoping it'll become your hobby. So I have a hobby of going to festivals, as you know, but Burning Man being one of them, you know, Burning Man is our festival.
Man stickers.
Yeah.
I wondered.
Yeah,
that's really
this will be my 4th year taking the kids this year, actually. But
oh
what?
My God,
yes,
that
I
is
know.
amazing.
I'm so excited about it. But what I want you to do is I want you to consider becoming a part of the Burning Man culture and like applying to do a large scale installation, because I think one of your designs as a large scale installation would be amazing. Amazing.
I just got goosebumps. I never considered that, and that would be incredible.
We're doing it. Yay.
Yeah, we can totally write a grant and we can get everything into play. And I've never been to Burning Man.
Okay.
I've always been
We'll go next year together. We'll get it. We'll apply for the grant. So prepare. That's Burning Man 2020. Lea Gray.
Wow, yeah, that would be really fantastic.
Hey,
I would love that.
Great.
Thank you for the idea.
Yeah, and then so
here she is again, giving me another idea.
You inspire me. It's a back and forth. You inspire me. But then we can do like a Ewink Live and do a follow up there. But thank you.
God,
But thank you for coming on Ewink Live today, Lea Gray.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you everybody for listening.
Okay.